Hello and welcome to this Cadmatic webinar. We'll be going through the new user experience improvements introduced in Cadmatic versions 17T3 and 18T1. And those improvements are the Smart Cursor, the View Cube, and visually setting filter box limits. These new features are aimed to visually support 3D design work and improve your workflow and productivity with Cadmatic Plant Modeler. First, let's look at the basic functionalities of the Smart Cursor. During this demo, I'll be using our example project that is included in the Cadmatic installer. And right off the bat, the first thing we see when we click ourselves into this axonometric view is the new Smart Cursor. The cursor will always display our main axis, so the red x-axis, the green y-axis, and the blue z-axis. And this way our orientation inside the model is always readily visible. And when I move my cursor here, we see that parts of our cursor's axis will be X-rayed for the parts that are behind model objects. And next to the cursor, we have a small tag visible, which is showing whether 2D or 3D hit is enabled. So when I toggle 2D and 3D hit with Ctrl 2, the tag changes to reflect that. With the 3D hit, the cursor must be navigated in the object's boundaries to be able to pick it, while with 2D hit, you're selecting the nearest object from your point of view. Essentially, all the information that was previously available in the view's lower left corner is now also clearly shown on our cursor when we're navigating inside a view. The mouse's middle button also has some new functionality. Previously, we would rotate our axonometric view by scrolling while using the Control and Shift key modifiers. And these methods still work, but now we can simply click mouse middle button to enable rotating our view by moving our mouse. Our mouse middle click's previous functionality of locking our mouse in place still exists under the Control and mouse left click shortcut. So if I want to go and use any other programs or browse any of the piping submenus, for example, I can still hold Control and mouse left click to do that. In addition to using our mouse middle button to rotate our axonometric view, we can use the new View Cube functionality to quickly set our view from any face, edge, or vertex. The View Cube is opened by holding Control and clicking the mouse middle button. Here you can rotate this cube by moving your mouse and select your view direction by clicking with the left mouse button. Near the bottom, you'll see a message box that has helpful information for the action we're performing. So here I'll select the positive Z direction to get a top view. And all the edges and vertexes are also selectable. The hotkeys of Control, Alt, and Home or End or arrow keys still work for setting your view direction just like in previous versions. And next I'll show you another new feature where this cube is used. Previously, our tool for clipping shaded views was the Edit Filter Box command under Shift 4. With version 18.t1, we've introduced the command get filter box limit from current location, and it's under the shortcut Control 5. And what it essentially does is that it sets our filter box limit to our cursor's point. When I select the option from here on the submenu or by clicking Control 5 in an axonometric view, it opens the cube for selecting which side or sides we want to set our filter box limit. So, for example, I can set all three axes minimum limits at once by hitting this corner, opening the cube with Control 5, and selecting the appropriate cube vertex. If our view is parallel to a main axis, instead of a cube, we'll see a two-dimensional selection box. But the functionality is essentially the same. We set our cursor's location, open up the filter box limit tool with Control 5, and select which side or corner we want to limit. And unlike the Edit Filter Box command, this new functionality also works in wireframe views. In this wireframe view, I can limit any face or corner, and here the larger box is our front plane, while the smaller box inside it is our back plane. So with this new feature, I can quickly and accurately set my filter box limits. And now if I open the Edit Filter Box menu with Shift 4, we see that all the changes are also reflected here. Next, I'll route a few simple pipes where we can see more of our new visual improvements. Here I'll just get our view ready by using the Get Filter Box Limits function. And the most visible improvement is that now we can easily see all the connections and pipe geometry points. Connection points are shown as circles and pipe geometry points as triangles. And while hovering over a connection point, I can see the connection information. I'll connect to this pump, and the next thing we notice is that now we are constrained to a line, and the line is visualized in our interface. And since the line goes along the x-axis, it's shown as red. Now I want to take a reference from this bulkhead, so I'll release from the line with Shift A and hit the face with F. And now we can see a nice new indicator for the plane we lock onto. And here the U-axis is shown in red and the V-axis is shown in green. Here, if I move my cursor, we'll notice the line is normally white, but turns red if I'm pointing in too sharp of an angle to which I cannot make the bend. Notice that when I'm constrained to a line, I see a small tab that shows my cursor's distance from my pipe's previous geometry point on that line. And I can actually edit and accept that distance by pressing Control Tab like so. And I'll just go ahead and finish the rest of the pipe here. Go up here. And make a bend. And the visualizations are really helping me always see what's going on. And end the pipe with a flange. Now I'll quickly continue from this end with connect and join. I don't have to make any other selections, it simply selects that connection and continues routing from it. Come over here. And end on floor top. Next, I'll make a pipeline that branches from here. First, I need to select the direction for my branch, and we can see the new angle visualization. We see all the three parameters, so radius, beta, and phi, outlaid on the model. Down here, we also see all the parameters written out. Now it's very easy to see which physical parameter the values are actually referring to. Take reference height from the floor. Make an angled bend here, right-clicking to get the input history here. And finally end on floor top. Finally, I'll make one more pipeline which goes parallel to this one. So I'm gonna start here. I'll take the reference height from this pipe geometry point and come up to here. And now I need to get the direction from the pipe part next to this. So I'll press A to lock to line and select this center line with Shift C. And now we see we have a new selector for the direction. Previously, we had a yes or no question here, but now I'll simply click the direction I want to pick, and that gets selected. Now I'll continue parallel up here and lock on to the pipe end with W. And now that my U and V directions are locked, I release my V direction by pressing 6. Now we notice that also in this situation will be shown the direction we are locked to with a white line. The settings for all these visual cues are found under User Settings and User Interface. Right here at the bottom. We can enable or disable them altogether or set how they're shown. So first, the maximum search distance specifies the distance from my cursor within which the assistance points are displayed. Maximum view scale determines how far I can be zoomed while still seeing the assistance points. And delay tells how long my cursor needs to be still for the points to show up. Don't worry if you didn't get all that. You can always check it from our documentation by clicking Help here. And scrolling down here. But hey, that's all for our Cadmatic webinar this time. Remember, you can always find our version release highlights, including these features and many more, on our website at cadmatic.com under Products and Release Information. Also remember to check our help documentation. There you can, for example, find a whole page for Smart Cursor and assistance points that will tell you all you need to know. Most of all, thank you all for attending. Next, you'll have a chance to ask any questions you might have regarding these new features. Release high. So something some people have wondered is that now that we're moving closer to working in axonometric views, so how far are we going with that? Well, we are always trying to improve our product and move to the way we expect users to continue using the product in the future. And at the moment, it seems that most users will be using it in an axonometric view or in a shaded view. So that's where we are focusing our current user interface improvement projects too. And we are, of course, still supporting wireframe views, but it's assumed that some of the new features we're going to have in the future will be only for shaded views. The only question I've had is hello. Okay, and the next question is, what is the performance of the views of wireframe views? Well, the performance has been improved lately a bit, especially in T3. We did have some line drawing performance improvements.
And for example, hidden line removal is also faster now what it was in earlier versions.
And the next question is, what are the system requirements for the latest version? You can always find our current system requirements on our website. Let me just pull it here. Here we have under products, you can just go to cadmatic.com, and under products we have the page system requirements. And here we have the system requirements for all of our different products. So for planned and outfitting currently, these are the system requirements. And when will we have 3D connection support? Currently, eBrowser does have 3D connection support. So that's the product that is supported.
And we have plans to have same for the plant modeler in the near future as well. And someone is asking about center of gravity point of equipment, and it is now visible there in the component modeler in the preview. You can see where is the center of gravity. Currently, it is not shown in eBrowser or in plant modeler, perhaps in the future. Someone is asking about insulations of concentric and eccentric reducers and how to define the shape. So it is possible to use component insulation or wrapped insulation, and depending on the insulation type, the shape is then defined. It can be conical or it can be cylindrical. There is a question about cursor lines. Is it possible to change thickness of those? Currently, thickness is fixed.
So there's a question about using Alt-3 in axonometric views. I'm not quite getting the question, but it is apparently relating to here for the move viewpoint to current location. So the way it works is if I move here and use Alt, well, this is let's say here, it will cut my filter box accordingly.
From the front plane.
Yes. So did that answer the question, or was there something I missed?
Okay, still waiting some more questions if there are any. Yeah, and someone is asking if we could have these kind of presentations more often. Yes, we will have. Thank you. There is one question related to insulations and if insulation components, they can have two nominal sizes. Need to be checked, but I understand that it is possible if component insulation is used that there can be two nominal sizes. Send email later related to this insulation of components with two nominal sizes.
Yes, so you'll have the exact answer later in your email. So someone is asking, they have upgraded from Cadmatic version 2016 T3 to 2018 T1 R5, and could they get details of the release? Also, the release notes are available in the support portal, and also the inside help is also detailing some of the changes, and for the bigger features you can find them on the website under products and release information, and here we have the 18T1. Someone is asking if the presentation without Q&A is recorded, so you could come back late. Yes, the whole presentation, including the Q&A, is recorded.
There is question related to insulations when DWG is exported, and I don't know there are any problems. Insulations are exported just like host components of insulations. And it is, of course, possible to define, for example, that insulations are with dotted dashed line or dashed line or so on. Yeah, as it was in the presentation, that the trend is generally towards more and more towards shaded views, towards using one view. And as you see also that we are still supporting wireframe use, and we have no plans to change this in the near future. And also some new features, they are also working there in wireframe use. But anyway, the trend is towards axonometric view, one view, shaded views.
So next we have a question in French, so we try to translate it to the best of our knowledge, so please tell us if we didn't answer your question.
Yeah, this is related to content of views. So what is visualized and what is not visualized. So it is even easier now in 18t1 to define content rule for working views and as well for drawing views. So there in the content view, you can define what is visualized and what is not, and it is rule. So if you define, for example, let's say that cable trays are not visualized, even new cable trays are not visualized in the future in the same view. So it should be now even easier to control content of view what it was before. This content rule was there already in 17t3 and before that, but now there is easier way to define it directly in the view panel.
And then there are a few different questions relating to showing a demo of IFC file import and collision detector in eBrowser, and there will be a new webinar or other demo later on for those, so check your emails for the newsletters. And can Ego be run on an Android device? And that's a no, it can only currently be used on Windows platforms. And then there's another question relating to the eBrowser collision detection and checking between different hierarchies. And that is, I think, something they are developing to some extent for release later on. So the collision detection is very functional in its current form, but it's currently also being improved in each release. Okay, and that's unfortunately all the time we have for the questions now. And if you have any questions left, please send an email or contact us through our support portal. So then we'll get back to you on your questions. So thank you all very much for attending, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you.